Okay, so it's been like 5 years since I really got into hiking. Ever since I stepped foot on top of Springer Mountain and through hiked the Appalachian Trail, I was totally hooked. In the 4,000 plus miles that I've been hiking on trails these last 5 years, I continue to get smarter, things continue to change, and gear is no exception. However, there are 10 pieces of gear that seem to work their way into my pack each and every hike the more miles I've gotten in. I want to talk about those today, and no, they have nothing to do with my Big Four. Hey, welcome back hikers to Follow Bigfoot, where knowledge is our niche to hiking the outdoors. If you're new to the channel, stick around, subscribe. We cover everything and anything that you need to know to not just prepare yourself to get on the trail, but to stay on the trail and get you to wherever your final terminus may be. 10 pieces of gear that I'm going to talk about today. These 10 things have been pretty much a staple for me for different reasons, and I'll talk about all of those reasons today. Now, I said that has nothing to do with my Big Four, so I'm not going to sit up here and talk about why I bring a pack every single time, or maybe my quilt. No, these are items that, for the most part, in different occasions, I really could do without. So let's go ahead and get into the very first item. First item is my pillow. I've been hiking with an ultralight pillow for about 2 years now. When I through hiked the Appalachian Trail, I didn't really have a dedicated pillow. I used a stuff sack that was also a pillow. It had fleece sewn into the other side of the stuff sack, so it was dual purpose and it worked out really well. Once I started to actually use a real inflatable pillow, I just got a lot better sleep at night. So this has been with me ever since. The one that I'm currently using today is the Sea to Summit ultralight pillow. I actually have the large pillow instead of the regular size, just because I like to have a little bit of extra space underneath my head, because I like to toss and turn throughout the night. All right, second item is my Tachyon wind pants. These are from Montbell. I started using these when I watched a gear video from Lint Hikes, if you haven't checked him out. And I saw this as a part of his gear that he brings on most of his hikes. And that was maybe about 2 years, or just a little bit over 2 years ago. I think the first time I actually brought these out was when I through hiked the John Muir Trail. And these have been a staple since. It doesn't matter what time of the year that I'm hiking, these are always with me. Now, the majority of the time that I'm using these wind pants is when I start to get a little chilly and I just want to warm up real quick. I throw these on. What's great about these is I don't have to take off my shoes when I slip them on or when I slip them off. I keep this right in my mesh pocket of my Z-Packs Nero. In the middle of summer, when it's been hot and humid, when the bugs are really bad, this has done a great job with keeping those mosquitoes or biting flies or whatever they are at bay. I also bring my down jacket. Now, this is something I've talked about in other videos, and a lot of hikers are going to say, yeah, I bring my down jacket pretty much anytime I go out on a through hike. Well, I'm not just talking about through hikes, I'm just talking about hikes in general. I'm doing a weekend backpacking trip in the middle of summer. I've learned my lesson throughout times that I've been out on the trail. Weather can change so fast. There will be days that I've been on the trail where it's 85 or 90, hot, humid, I'm sweating, and the next day is below 50, cold, wet. And this is just something nice to have as a backup precaution when I get in at night, or if I want to slip this underneath my rain jacket. But honestly, most of the time what I'm using this for is being able to alleviate some weight on my quilt or my sleep system. So what I typically will do when I'm hiking in the middle of summer is bring the lightest quilt or sleeping bag that I have, which right now I use the Enlightened Equipment Enigma. It's a 50 degree. I just hiked and did a 40 or 50 mile section hike of the Superior Hiking Trail as I get ready for my speed record. And I brought that out on my weekend trip. It got down into maybe the mid 40s, but what I pair up with that quilt is my down jacket. So I layer up, and with layering up with my clothing, I'm able to bring a lighter quilt, which I'm just saving weight. But with this coming in at 4.8 ounces, it makes it a pretty easy decision for me because I have that weight savings I'm making with my sleep system. And honestly, I always want to have this down jacket as a precaution. Not to mention, if I want to throw something underneath my pillow at night, it does make for a little bit more loft and a little bit more comfort when I'm sleeping. Fourth thing up on my list I always bring is my satellite, my two-way satellite device. I use the Garmin inReach Mini. I've been bringing a satellite device ever since I thru hiked the Appalachian Trail for a few different reasons. First and foremost, if I get into trouble, at a press of a button, I can get help within probably 30 to 45 minutes, depending, of course, where I am. The second reason is I have a lot of folks that follow me on this. If you're a patron, you have the ability at a level 2 or higher to be able to follow me on all of my hikes, see my progress, where I'm at. And thirdly, the ability when I don't have cell phone service to stay connected with my fiance or my family members, even sometimes just checking in, hey, everything's going well, don't worry. But for those three reasons, 3.5 ounces is totally worth the weight that I bring for this. Next piece of gear is my GPS watch. Now you'll actually notice I have two different GPS watches on right now. What I've been using the last couple of years is the Garmin Fenix 5. I went with the Garmin Fenix 5 from the 3 just because I can get a total of about 24 to 27 hours of full GPS mode when I'm actually hiking. And a lot of times when I'm doing these 40, 45 mile days, I might be hiking for 16, 17 hours. I don't want to lose data because my battery dies in the middle of it. It's happened to me so many different times. But the reason why I bring a GPS watch on all my hikes is the data. I love knowing my pace, my speed, how many calories I burned, and all of the other data that you get with Garmin. But I love being able to just use the analytics to continue to help improve my performance. The other watch that you see on my right hand is a watch that I'm actually testing. Coros sent me this. It's actually called the Coros Vertex. What is attractive about this is it's got 60 hours plus of GPS mode. I am going to do a first impressions video. I'm going to drop that on the channel sometime, probably in about a week from now. Some more on this soon. My battery went completely dead, and of course I didn't have an extra battery with me for some reason, so had to stop for the night. Let's continue going on to number 6. My sixth piece of gear I bring with me on every hike is soap. What I do is I take Dr. Bronner's soap, which I would recommend getting. There's like an unscented one. I think it's like baby unscented. But I take it and I will throw it into a smaller vial, depending on how long I'm out there hiking. And then what I'll do is I'll fill up maybe a couple of quarts of water in a gallon Ziploc bag, throw a couple of drops in the gallon Ziploc bag, and then I'll wash my hands. I've been doing this for about 18 months. This is what replaced sanitizer for me. Now this next piece of gear I've had with me in my pack every single mile the last 5 years. And I think it's the only thing that has not changed at all, and that is the Q-Wiz trowel. Highly recommend using a trowel. I know there's some folks out there that says, yeah, you can use sticks and things like that, or your trekking poles to dig a hole. It is a little difficult, and I will tell you, at least for me, when I have to go, I have to go. I don't want to have to sit there and take extra time digging a hole. And not to mention when it's rooty and things like that, it just makes a lot more sense and a lot easier using an actual trowel. So I've been using this, recommended this, weighs maybe 0.5 ounces. Another trowel out there that's about the same weight is the Deuce of Spades trowel. I think this one's maybe just slightly lighter. The next couple items kind of go together, which is my stove setup. I've been using the Vargo Bot 700 for the last about couple of years, kind of a trend there, the last couple of years. And then I have only brought in the same stove with me, which is the BRS. The BRS stove is solid. I have never had an issue. It's the same stove I've had for 3 or 4 years. It boils water really fast. Actually, it boils it faster than some of the pocket rockets that I've had and used. What's nice about the BRS is not only is it nice and small and compact, it weighs 0.88 ounces, and it costs like $15 or $17 on Amazon. If you are a cold soaker, this is a pretty great setup. The one issue that you'll have with the Vargo bot is at higher elevations, or when you go from higher elevations to lower elevations, the seal will get pressurized, or the bot will get pressurized, and the only way to really depressure it is taking a knife or something and lifting up the seal to release the pressure. However, I am not a cold soaker. I'm actually going to change this up and save some weight. So instead of bringing the Vargo Bot 700, I just bought the Toaks 550 milliliter ultralight pod. I think it weighs like 2.6 ounces for the entire setup, which is going to save me from this about 2.2 ounces. The combination of my BRS stove and now the new Toaks ultralight pot, it's going to come in at like 3.5 ounces. So for 3.5 ounces, I think that's really easy to justify bringing a stove setup. And for my upcoming FKT attempt, I will be bringing this setup with the new Toaks ultralight pot. My 10th and final item that I bring every single time I hike is a lock sack, the lock sack op sack. This is a odor-proof plastic, honestly it's like a really big, durable, heavy-duty Ziploc bag, but as long as you have it closed, it is as odor-proof as you can really get. Now, I will typically pair up my lock sack with an earth sack, which is my preferred way to do a bear hangout in the woods. Times when I'm in an area that doesn't have any bear habitat, like when I was in Scotland, all I brought was just the lock sack. 1.5 ounces, I get the 12 by 20. I have links to everything that I covered in this video in the description box below. All right, hikers, that does it for me for this video. If you found anything in this video to be helpful, mash that like button and don't forget to comment. If there's anything that you want to add in to this list that I talked about, throw that below in the comment section. I learned from you and I know that everyone else does as well. Well, stay tuned in next week for my initial impressions on this new watch from Coros. And until then, I hope I see you guys out on the trail somewhere. I know for me, I'm going to be up hiking a section of the Superior Hiking Trail for the 4th. So that does it for me. Happy hiking.